It's a great day, my amazing CEOs. I want to start off with sharing an incredible story about Airbnb and the success they had and how they just nailed it as it relates to sales. I believe it's a lesson that we all can learn from. Now, Airbnb, which is now one of the fastest growing companies that's out there, by the way, and just about 3 years ago, they had a valuation of their company of $100 billion. Now, even if you don't know what valuation means, you know one thing, $100 billion is a lot of cash flow. But it didn't always start that way. They started with a very humble beginning. You see, the co-founders, Brian and Joe, they decided to sell or rent mattresses in their apartment for about $80 per guest. Not a bad idea, right? It's a very simple start, but they saw potential. Think about your own business. You start off simple. You say, I think there's some potential out here. Now, despite their whole innovative approach, despite the fact that the money was coming in when they was doing it in their apartment, they decided to expand. Now, we've all done that before, right? They built a cool website. They decided to get all the marketing, get all the branding. And despite all the efforts they've done by bringing folks aboard, they had a big problem. Their bookings were very, very limited. And in fact, it reached a certain point, by the way, in the business where they had to sell cereal just to make the ends meet. Think about that for a moment. So what was the main issue? The main issue they had is that their property just wasn't attracting the right type of clients. Now, I've been in business for a number of years, and even if you're just getting started or you're very seasoned, think about your own business. Would you like to attract more of your perfect client, more of your ideal client to you? They had a real problem. So Brian and Joe decided to address it head on. They decided to do something a little bit differently. They decided to go back and say, okay, here's the problem. We're just not attracting the folks. We need to go back in to all of our New York listings, take new photos because the images we have on there, they're not as good as we think they could be. They're not really representing the brand. So think of sales positioning. So they go back in. They make those adjustments. They tweak a few other things. And within that month, the sales came back in. Then the next month, they double. Then the next month, they quadruple. Then the next month, they took it to an entirely different level. Now, what's the message that you can learn from that? Here's the message that I want to share with you. Inside of our business, it's important that we all slow down, put together our sales strategy, understand the problems that exist from a sales perspective, and then once that solution is there, we got to go evangelize that message. We've got to use sales positioning. We got to use sales strategy. We've got to make sure we have sales lead systems in place to make it a reality. So just like Airbnb, you can adopt the same exact thing because their ability to turn it around, all related to sales. Why? Because sales is the oxygen to every great business in history. If Airbnb can do it, guess what? You can do as well. Go sell the heck out of it. With that being said, welcome to the CEO Sales Huddle. I'm so glad you're here. As we start off every single morning, for those folks that are just tuning in for the very first time, we want to welcome you aboard. And thought I had this thing down. Okay, let's start off with why we're here in our core mantra: learn, earn, and return. Now, I want you to say that with me: learn, earn, and return. As a CEO, we're always learning because you never stop learning. And then we're always earning so that we can return back what we've done. Now, let me share another way. You see right here on the right-hand side, here's what I want you to repeat after me. I have to learn something new in order to earn new revenue from existing clients or current clients in order to return and get new and old clients. So I've got to learn something new in order to earn more revenue from existing clients by offering new problems, new solutions, in order to return current clients and get new revenue. Learn, earn, and return. It's a great way to start off. What is our objectives? Why are we here? Why do we show up? What do I want to accomplish in this time that you and I have together? But there's 3 things that I want to accomplish. Number 1, we want to go back and take a look at our sales progress. What happened yesterday, what happened 1 week ago, and what happened 30 days ago. And we're going to do it in a short period of time. Number 2, address any roadblocks that are immediately in front of us. Airbnb had to do the exact same thing and step back and say, what are the roadblocks as it relates to sales? Now, you say, why do you say sales? Because I believe sales will solve any business problem that you have. And then third, and more importantly, is understand the 5 pillars, which I'll share in a moment, as it relates to sales. So how long do we get together, Shay? What's the point of getting together? Well, for those folks that are new, that are joining for the very, very first time, let me go ahead and tell you why we have the CEO Sales Huddle and why it exists. It's a place that CEOs gather to understand how to sell more faster. If you're a veteran and you tune in every single day, welcome back. I'm so glad to have you here. If you're new, it's where we come to sell more faster. There are 3 things that we want to accomplish. There's 3 things, just 3 things. Jot these in your notes. Sales growth, accountability, and consistency. What's the big why of showing up? Sales growth, accountability, and consistency. So we only do this for 15 minutes. You and I pop together, 15 minutes. We take a look at our CEO sales dashboard. Once we've taken a look at that, then we're able to move forward. What's our number one outcome? Our number one outcome is $100,000 plus revenue on a monthly basis that is consistent, predictable, and reliable. That's our number one outcome. So with sales growth, with accountability, and with consistency, that's going to happen for each and every one of you that are here. There is no barrier. There's no credit card. There's no Zelly. There's no Cash App. There's no swipe and succeed. There's no barrier other than your commitment to show up for yourself and your business. 15 minutes a day. Now, you can spend 15 minutes a lot of places, but in a CEO Sales Huddle and this particular conversation, this is the fastest, easiest way, I believe, to grow the business. So let's talk about the segment that we have called CEO Sales Dashboard. Soon, as I always mentioned, that if you haven't registered, go over to CEOSalesHuddle.com. If you're new, make sure you register so you get the release of the new CEO Sales Dashboard, number 1. And number 2, you get all the goodies, the notes and everything else. So make sure you register over www.CEOSalesHuddle. If you're listening to the podcast now, thank you so much for listening. Go do it. If you're watching, you're watching on one of our live broadcast stations, make sure you go to CEOSalesHuddle.com. Now, the sales dashboard metric is all about metric review. We spend about 2 minutes on this. So you tune in, you lean in, this might be all you need. One of the key sales indicators is leads. So I want you to step back and take a look and open up your CRM system, open up your Infusionsoft, open up your Active Campaign, open up your Go High Level, whatever system you're using right now, open it up right now, go to your dashboard and look at how many new leads came in yesterday. Now, there could have been new folks that registered, maybe for the first time, maybe sent out an email, and maybe you engaged your existing list and they opted into something different. Maybe you bought a list and someone imported it. But we know that leads are the heartbeat of the company. No matter what you think about the definition of leads, I'm sure we would all agree that in order to get new customers, you need leads. Okay, so a lead is at least someone you can talk to. Number 2, how many appointments were run just yesterday? Now, open up your calendar. No, seriously, like when you look at the calendar from a sales perspective, how many appointments were set for yesterday? That means they at least was on the calendar. And 2, how many appointments were run? There's appointment setting, that's a skill set, and there's appointment running. Now, if you have a team, some of you have a team. I get it. You take the content and you use it in your team. Hey, go do that. Look at the team's appointment set and the team's number of appointments run. And others of you, you are the number 1 salesperson. Maybe you're the only salesperson. So this is an honest assessment, not to beat me up. This is not to beat me up, but we know what gets measured gets managed. What gets measured gets managed. So we're going to measure it, and we're going to just look at it objectively. Number 3, how many offers were made just yesterday? Now, in order for an offer to be made, it might have been on the phone. It might have been through email. Maybe an offer was made on a website. Maybe an offer was made on a webinar. And you might say, Shay, how do I know if they went to my website? Well, maybe it's part of your sales funnel. They have to opt in. And then once they opt in, they go look at a case study online or they get to the checkout page. So if they opted in and they got shown the checkout page, you can count that as an offer if you want. Now, we got to talk about that later, but at least you can count that. And so everything counts. Everything counts. Every time you have a contact, every time someone speaks to someone in your company, every time they watch one of your videos, that is an appointment. And if there was a next step, that is an offer. Now, there's a couple of different offers, right? There's one offer some of you are looking at is just, I want them to get on my list, or I want them to engage. We call it a re-engagement sequence. That's cool. But I'm talking about an offer in this particular situation in order for them to do business with you. Because one of the challenges I see often is that folks are just not making enough offers. And my good friend, Myron Golden, a really good friend of mine, he's built a whole campaign around make more offers. And it's through that campaign that I said, you know what? That's got to be one of the indicators. I used to have leads, appointments, and deals. That's all I had. Like, how many leads, how many appointments did you run or set and run, and then how many deals were closed? And then I started thinking, we're always learning, right? When the question is asked, when do you stop learning? The obvious answer is you never stop learning. So when I was working with Myron Golden, and this was about 3 years ago now, he first came out with Make More Offers. It was a 5-day challenge. And I said, whoa, I like that. That's a pretty good idea. And I joined the class. I wrote a check. Now, he's a friend, someone I know, a colleague, but I still wrote a check. I mean, I'm a student. I never stopped learning. And I said, you've got to update the CEO sales dashboard. And this has probably made the biggest difference for a number of my clients who've seen their revenue skyrocket. It wasn't that they got better per se. It was they got better at knowing the numbers. And that's a topic for another time. Then how many deals were closed? So you go from making an offer to a deal. And the deal in this case is they decide to work with your company. Now, if you say, hey, Shay, I'm going to consider a deal. They sign up for my masterclass. Okay. Whatever metrics works for you. But in the context, I want you to be thinking, how many deals came in? And then last but not least, of the deals that came in, how many were repeat business? And I say that because I know as an entrepreneur, we're always looking at our existing base. And I believe the existing base is very important. I believe your existing base and the customers you have today, I think they will make your business do really, really, really well. I really do. And you'll be able to take some amazing vacations. You'll be able to write some checks for the causes you believe in. And so repeat business is important. I mean, we'd agree with that. But I want you to look at the other side. Remember, we're all here to learn, earn, and return. Look at the other side. And here's another concept that I just want to share with you that I believe. I believe strangers, the people that don't know you today, strangers will make you very, very wealthy. So while we want to keep our eye on deals, that's cool. We also want to keep our eye on new customers, strangers, because they're going to make us very, very wealthy, and they're going to skyrocket the growth of the business. So we have repeat business there because I know many of you do a great job. I know many folks, some of you have step 1, step 2, step 3, and you're able to bring a customer in, and then you're able to take them through the process. I get that. So I want to make sure we all acknowledge and take credit for that. That's why we have a category called repeat business. So leads, appointments, offers, deals, repeat. We call it the Power 5. The Power 5 on the sales dashboard. When you get to it, when you register at CEO Sales Huddle, there'll be many other components to it. Okay. Then the next segment that we have that we love to do every single day, let me pull this down so you can see it, is celebrate our wins. And to me, this is very, very important. So we want to answer the question, what are you most proud of? And isn't this a great step to step back and acknowledge the wins? I don't believe we acknowledge ourselves enough. Don't pat ourselves on the back. I'm known for beating myself up often, so get it. The next question and celebrate wins is, what was your biggest accomplishment? Just from a sales perspective, just look back on 24 hours. I'm not asking you to go back to the beginning of the year. I'm not asking you to pull out your sales plan. I'm not asking you to look at your goals and look at your dreams. I'm saying, what was your biggest accomplishment? Is if you and I were sitting here 1-to-1 right now through the power of these fiber optic lines, you could raise your hand. Now, some of you DM me this, and I appreciate it. You can DM me at I am Che Brown. Instagram is my jam, but some of you on LinkedIn and Facebook, I appreciate the messages. Okay, so you're welcome to DM me. What was your biggest accomplishment? Remember, we're here for accountability. And number 3, what do you want to brag about? Like seriously, that's one of my favorite questions about it. Like of all the things you did yesterday, what do you really want to brag about? And it could be something that's as small as discovery. I had a meeting with my team, and one of the small things I was really cool about is how we're able to pinpoint the successes that other organizations have had and be able to share it with you in a short period of time. Yes, it's true. It's an old adage. It's been said many, many times. I didn't create it, but it's been said many times that success leaves clues. And that is true. But if you don't know the clues, then it's kind of hard to be able to implement it. So we're going to work really, really hard to make sure we say, hey, here are some things that has happened, the CEOs have done, decisions CEOs have made in order to really see sales grow for their organization. All right, so that's what I want to brag about today, okay? I love the Airbnb story. I mean, it's just incredible. And I always say if Airbnb can do something crazy and wacky and create something that did not exist because there was a problem, then by golly, we all can do it. Okay, what are some of the roadblocks that are facing you today? Some of the challenges that are facing you today? What was your biggest roadblock yesterday? Then we're not going back to last week. Number 2, what's preventing you today? Go ahead and write that down. And if you want to copy and paste it, send me it. You can email it to me right now. Or you can go to I am Shay Brown and DM it to me. What's preventing you from moving forward today? And what's the one thing, I love it from the book, what's the one thing that you could do today that if you would do it, it would move your business forward? And it's all up to you. It's all about accountability. It's something that you could do right now. Go ahead and jot that down in your notes right now. Like go ahead and put that down in your notes right now. This is something that we do every single day. And I love this segment because we have to address what we have out there. So there's 3 things that we believe when we talk about the sales pillars for those folks that are seeing it for the very first time. There are 5 sales pillars under learn, earn, and return. Now we're going to go into a segment in a moment where we're going to our teaching segment, right? So we're in CEO overtime. We do about 15 minutes of doing a review of the business. And then I like to do what I call CEO overtime. Take a couple of minutes and share the next step. I know today, let me pull this up, make sure it's there. I know today is day 2 of what we're focusing on, which is going to be your sales plan. So we're doing 5 days of that. Learn, earn, and return. The 5 pillars. There are 5 pillars. There's sales planning, which we're focused on this week. There's sales cycles. That's the heartbeat and how fast the money is able to come in. So the sales journey your client goes through. There's sales positioning, which is the words that you're using, your sales message, your sales logical argument. And then there's sales indicators where you just know your numbers. We keep it very, very simple. And then third is the sales team. The sales team that generates the revenue. And if you're the sales team, congratulations. I'm so proud of you. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you showed up. And isn't that true? Isn't part of life just showing up and you're here. And so on today's episode, I want to first do a quick recap of what we started with yesterday. We're building our 30-day sales plan. And the goal is a $200,000 strategy. Now, those numbers are going to freak some people out. I know when I first had to do it, I was like, what? 100,000 would be a dream. But what if you took that $100,000 that's our goal and you doubled it? You just doubled your belief that it's possible. What would that look like for you? What does that feel like for you? Not the money, but just a shift in your mindset. And, I can't remember who said it, but it's so true. Change your mind, change your life. So we're going to shift our mind. Yes, our outcome is $100,000, but we're going to implement with something we talked about yesterday, the Tesla's $200,000 sales strategies, right? Now, inside of that, we talked about some of the key indicators are going to be important. We talked about that yesterday. If you didn't hear yesterday's episode, go back and get yesterday's episode, okay? But the key to yesterday was leads, engage leads, and qualify leads. We did a definition. We did a deep dive into that yesterday. Today is all about our outreach strategy. And the reason I say this today, and this is important to me, is we talked about yesterday that, okay, first you have a lead. Got it. And the lead is just someone that has a first name. You have their first name, last name, phone number, and email. We talk about leads represent hope. Okay, I'm not going to do a recap. And then I said, now, the clients I was working with, their first thing was, say, I don't have qualified leads, or I don't have people I can work with. So once I found out that we were getting leads in, whether they were doing them through ads, organically, or buying it, the next challenge they had was, I said, what you really want is engaged leads. You want people that come in that have engaged with your company in one shape or form. Some of them online, some of them in person, some of them through a phone call, some of them through referrals. So let's start tracking engaged leads. That means they're here, okay? And this was an indicator that a number of my clients had never did before. And you may have never done it before, but you're here. And that's why we're here as CEOs. We're all going to grow. There's no shame. There's no, oh, you didn't know. No, you can know to do something and not to do something. It's easy to do and it's easy not to do. So We're going to talk about day 2, which is an outreach strategy, from leads to engaged leads. Take a moment and do an assessment of your nurturing and converting systems that you have for engaged leads. And this is something that's called baseline strategy. Now, let me give you the concept and then we'll move on. But your baseline is everything you're doing today to produce the results you produce in a day on a monthly basis. So let's say from your lead generation strategy, let's say you're generating 30 new engaged leads a month. That means when we're tracking it, you're looking to say, oh, I got about 30 that are really engaging with me. Then how are you nurturing them to take them to the next step? So let me give you an example. Let's say you're averaging 30. And you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, baseline strategy, in terms of how well you're doing in your nurture sequence from leads to engage leads to obviously the next step, which is going to be the close. And you rate yourself 1 meaning you don't do a great job, and 10 meaning you're the world's greatest person at doing it. In fact, you're so good you want to come on camera now and you want to share your nurturing sequence with everyone. Let's say you said you were 4. And most folks, when it comes to leads generation, when you talk to CEOs, they're about a 3 or below because we just know we can do much better, right? So your baseline is everything you're doing today to get 30 leads a month. You're a 3 or 0. Here's what the baseline strategy says. You add 1 new idea, you implement a new strategy, and thus you produce a greater result than 30 a month. Now, part of the purpose of your subconscious mind is to answer whatever question you ask it. So as you're listening right now, I want you to kind of ask yourself the question, what's one thing that I can do? One thing that I can do to really take it up in the area of nurturing the leads once they come in, to get them to be an engaged lead. Now, is it a phone call? So does you make an outbound phone call? Is that a personal touch? Do you record a video? And inside the video, you kind of welcome them into the company and you share some information, and then you send that video via email. You send it via text message. Some folks are going to go to LinkedIn on social media and connect with the person or their company and then send that to them. So like, hey, I'm so glad you downloaded the free gift. It was great meeting you. Whatever the sequence is, I don't want to get too far in the weeds because today we're just planning. I want you to be planning what has worked and what hasn't done. You do an assessment. And then one of the key concepts under sales positioning is that your words will make you rich. In sales, it really boils down to what you say, when you say it, and how you say it. And so we have a whole communication strategy. So when you're putting together your sales strategy, it's what's the sales logical argument? What am I going to say to the buyers or prospects that are inside my sequence? And what's the messaging, the sales logical argument, the messaging that I'm going to share with them? Again, many of you at many different places, different spaces. Some of you are sending me DMs when we take a look at your nurture sequence. I'm happy to do that. But I want you to get that done today. So my takeaway for you today is, number 1, let me go ahead and start putting together my sales plan. Just how many leads do I need next month? How many appointments do I need to set? And how many do I need to run? And then how am I going to take my leads from just a first name, last name, phone number, and email to become an engaged lead? That means they had an experience with our company. And you can look at that with your existing base, but right now on this call, not to confuse it, I just want to look at the ones that are just coming in. You do that, and my promise to you, you have step 2 of the plan. Now, tomorrow we come together, we're going to step 3. Step 3 is taking the engaged lead and getting a conversion. And I always say you can't really, in your sales dashboard, be really measuring how many deals were done or how many offers were made if they were never engaged, right? So for some of you, you're like, shit, I got it, but I've got to make sure my team's aboard. That's why I show up for the CEO Sales Huddle. It's not what I know, it's how well can I implement it or how better can I implement it. You know, whenever I'm at an event and I'm talking to someone, they say, I already know everything the person's saying up there. I'm thinking, yeah, I might know it too, but it's not a question of what you know, it's how well are you implementing it. And once we decide to implement what we know, we can always take it to another level, which is called a distinction. A distinction is an understanding beyond common knowledge because you implement it. Okay, we'll get into that on another show. But I wanted to mention that to you because that's very, very important. You might be feeling like you're taking baby steps now. Some of you are taking leaps and bounds, but I promise you, show up tomorrow. I promise you, you get your sales plan done. I promise you, we layer the sales strategy on top of it. I promise you, you start generating leads, and the magic will happen. You get in front of more folks, and you solve a problem, and you're going to see your skyrocket. Your revenue just skyrocket. Sounds simple, but it's easy to do and easy not to do. With that being said, I want to close out with one of my favorite segments I like to do just as we open up every single time, which is with our personal mantra. And the personal mantra is learn, earn, and return. Learn, earn, and return. Every day as a CEO, the reason you show up for the 15-minute sales huddle, yes, it's about sales growth. Yes, it's about accountability. And yes, it's about consistency. But you've got to learn something new. Airbnb had to go learn something new. Tesla, who we talked about yesterday, had to learn something new in order to earn new revenue. So some of you are going to go back to your existing base from current clients. And then on the other side, in order to get new and old clients to return. So some of you want some folks to return, but you're also looking for new clients to come return to you. So earn, learn, and return. Learn, earn, and return. Say that after me. Learn, earn, and return. With that being said, I want you to know that you're already incredible. You're already amazing. You are one heck of a CEO or you wouldn't be here. And I know as you're watching right now that you have a heart to give. I know you have a heart to serve. You're going to grow your business. You're going to grow your organization. You will be more profitable and you will sell more faster by serving and solving problems. Sales is the oxygen for every successful business in history. So, my friend, thank you for joining the CEO Sales Huddle. I'll see you tomorrow at the CEO Sales Huddle. God bless and keep doing God's work. Leave me a message for those folks that are joining for the very first time. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't, make sure you go over there and download the podcast. You can go type in CEO Sales Huddle for podcast, or you can find us on any social media at I am Che Brown. Let's connect over on Instagram or LinkedIn, whichever is your jam. And let's connect because you can see me, but I can't see you. So it'd be pretty cool to see you and what you're up to. With that being said, thanks for joining me this morning. I'll see you tomorrow at the CEO Sales Huddle. God bless. Peace.